business is this. The petitioner for each item will be asked to come forward, state your name for the record, and present your request. The board will ask any questions that they may have. Then, anyone wishing to speak to the proposal will be asked to come forward and voice their opinions. If there are sides to a project, each side will have 10 minutes to speak. All the comments should be about the project being presented. This is not a venue to air personal grievances. If you hear the gavel, you are out of order, and if you persist, you will be removed from the meeting. Once your request is heard, the board's decision is rendered. You may leave the meeting. However, if you have questions for staff, please wait until after the meeting is over to ask them, or you may contact staff at the office the next day. Once public testimony and discussion for a particular item is concluded, the members of the board will deliberate and render the decision. Members with a personal or financial interest in any request are required to recuse themselves from voting. All decisions by the Architecture Review Board are final. Any person having a request for a certificate of appropriateness denied by the board may appeal such denial to the Montgomery Circuit Court. Any such appeal may be filed with the Circuit Court within 30 days of receipt of the notice of the final decision of the board. We have 5 members present. Thank you, Cedric. Because of the number of members present, if you'd like to delay your request, please let us know as the time it's announced. I'd like to introduce the members of the board who are here: Cedric Campbell, Elizabeth Brown, Katie Williams, John Foshee, and John Hayden. Our staff tonight are Christy Anderson, Paula Wade, Russell Stringer, and Ethan Fowler. All right, the first item on tonight's agenda is Otis Rabideau and Jennifer Facto Rabideau, the Garden District, 24 Felder Avenue. You want to build a retaining wall.
I'm sorry? Oh, yes.
Right.
I'm Jennifer Facto Rabideau. This is my husband, Otis. We're from Katyville, New York, up near the Canadian border, and we bought 24 Felder as our retirement winter
You need to
home.
pull the microphone closer to you. Thank you.
Did everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. As you can see from the pictures, the lawn is falling apart. No, it needs a retaining wall at the sidewalk due to the erosion that's happening. There's a lot of roots sticking out. There's no way to bring in any fill or replace any sod because it would just be lost in the first rainfall. The neighbor next door has a pretty nice retaining wall that seems like it would be appropriate, whatever the dimensions were. The brick will look nice with the bottom of our home. The sidewalk needs to be replaced. We want to add extra sidewalks and then the retaining wall on the side where the driveway is, with a couple of steps coming out.
Mike, there are more photos at 1D and beyond.
This is looking at the sidewalk from our front porch. This is where the extra sidewalk would go up to that small portico off of, take a 90-degree turn off of the main sidewalk in front of the porch. This is where that sidewalk would be, going up to the portico. This is the neighbor's small retaining wall with the steps. It would have some similar columns, posts. And that's kind of the erosion, if you can't see it. That dark part is all dirt, and the sand comes right onto the sidewalk. This is the side of the driveway where the erosion is happening, and those are roots that you can see. So the retaining wall would go up following the grade of the lawn up to kind of the corner of the building with a little bit, a couple steps up to the other sidewalk that we're going to put in the front from here.
Right. All right. Is there anyone in the audience to speak to this project? Comments from the board?
One question. Is the plan to have the walk be brick as well? Or
Yes.
just-
Yes,
So the
everything.
walk-in and the retaining wall will be brick?
Yes. To match the bottom of the home.
All right.
Will you be adding handrails on either side, or?
If there were, on the front where that column is, because of from the sidewalk, there may not need to be, depending on what the code is.
So, yeah, I would look to the code on that, because,
If so, it would probably be something iron, short.
it doesn't have to have the rails, just like the top part.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. If there are no more comments, may I have a motion?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Thank you.
It's going to look nice.
Very nice.
Okay, Hugh Cole Builder Incorporated for Kenneth Mullinix, the replacement of Mr. Mullinix's destroyed shed.
Board members, my name is Hugh Cole. I'm representing Mr. Ken Mullinix. Mr. Mullinix's residence is 1942 Graham Street, Old Cloverdale. Back in June, one of Mr. Mullinix's next door neighbor's trees blew over on his garage. It was destroyed and declared a total loss by the insurance adjuster. We're asking for permission to rebuild it. And I think that the original garage was in excess of the side yard. Not excess, but it was 2 feet off the side yard, and I've been told we need to rebuild it 5 feet off of the side yard.
Mr.
I have
Cole,
supplied the materials. I'm sorry, sir.
I'm sorry, you keep referring to this as a garage. Is this a garage or a storage building?
This property, I'm Kenneth Mullinix.
Yes.
This property was built in 1930. It was a garage, which I used as a storage building.
Okay. I just wanted,
Enclosed, yes, sir.
not unusual at all, I understand.
It doesn't have any running water, and we only have 1 or 2 electrical outlets and 1 or 2 overhead lights and a floodlight on it.
All right.
That's my presentation, ma'am.
All right. Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project? Comments from the board?
Madam Chair, I move to approve as submitted.
Ms. Brown,
Yes.
if I may say, of course, we're not going to paint it that same ugly red color that was grandfathered in. I think on the
I
paper-
wanted the red.
Straight out of Green Acres. Of course, we're going to use the palette of the Old Cloverdale Association, I think, and I wanted to ask this question for clarity. I think Mr. Cole put down on the form a gray sort of color. However, I wanted to use something that doesn't show the leaf discoloration or whatever. And is that something that can be changed or rendered just so it falls within the palette?
If it's on the pallet, I think you can paint it about any color on the pallet you like.
Yes, sir, thank you.
And I will second the motion made.
I'll prefer that it's not turquoise, but,
Thankfully, that's not on the palette.
all right.
I didn't really consult with him. I just picked 2 colors I knew would pass.
Something more the color of the brick on your house would just sort of go away and not show the dirt that you're talking about.
You know, the trees there discolor everything,
I got the same
as
problem.
well as crushed buildings.
I need to call Mr. Cole. I got a shed I need to get rid of and put a new one in myself, so.
All right, so you're going to do a darker body color, and you're going to pick that color out with Christie, and then you're going to go with one of these lighter tones that you turned in for the trim. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Now can we have a motion?
Is that amending the motion? I think John made a motion already, right?
John, I think
I
that
thought
is,
someone else made a motion. I will move to approve
It's
as
2 Johns,
submitted.
right?
yes.
Did you make?
John
Yeah, there's 2
Hershey
Johns.
made a motion,
You're not the only John
John
John.
Hayden seconded the motion.
So I will amend my motion to include colors selected from the color palette.
All
that
right.
The owner's choosing.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Hey.
Go and do good work, Mr. Mullinax.
Thank you all very
Thank
much.
you.
You're very welcome. All right. Next, we have Courtney Pittman, Davis Architects for EJI.
Hello, everyone. I'm Courtney Pittman with Davis Architects representing the Equal Justice Initiative. They have purchased the old Waterworks building that is 2 blocks north of the Legacy Pavilion, and they want to convert it to meeting space, which you see in the plans here. And we are seeking approval for the appearance of the exterior. We tried to find historic pictures. We were unfortunately only successful in finding one, which you see right there. But generally, the idea, now obviously that stack is gone, and the original tower entry was removed and rebuilt, which you can see in current photographs. The brick is a different color. But we're still planning on using that as an entry element. But generally, the idea is to open up all the existing windows, remove all of those old windows, and replace with historic-looking windows. They would be aluminum windows with the proper panning and sill details. This illustrates, and we did this on all sides, the yellow or the openings where we are going to infill with windows. The original entry there in the middle with the stairs, unfortunately, we can't make that ADA accessible due to its proximity to the sidewalk. So that's just going to become a big arched window, and the tower element there in blue will be the main point of entry into the facility. And if you just kind of go on around to the side, there it is. So we're going to restore all the brick. We're doing a big repointing effort. But the idea is really to clean it up and just leave it as is in a modernized state. You also can see there where we're adding an ADA accessible ramp. There's not a lot of detail yet to the handrails, but we're hoping to use, reminiscent of the time when the building was built, the fittings, with the pipe rail into the fittings of the guardrail. So we're definitely looking closely at that. Then if you want to go to the next slide, the sides, unfortunately, some of the arches have been infilled and they've put in a door. You can see some of the windows in the back there were partially infilled. We want to remove that unattractive loading dock. We're going to put something else back, but that will still serve a loading function. It'll just be a newer version of it. And then scrolling down, you can see again in yellow where we're doing windows. The blue, we're opening back up. That's where we're doing some brick removal. You can see there on the right in the back, we're removing the brick up to those original lintels. We're going to open that arched entry from the loading dock back up. And then there on the left side, we've got 4 windows that we're replacing, but one where they cut a door, we're going to open that up as an arch. Now that's a change because you can see there wasn't one there before. But do a door, and that's an egress door from that meeting space. And then scrolling down a little more, yeah, here's your elevation. So you can see that in that big arch, we're doing a glass entry. So it'll be treated with the same panning as we're doing everywhere else. And then that access ramp. So next slide, moving around to the back. So the back is really interesting. It's got that offset circular opening that if you're inside, you can see there was obviously a major ventilation duct of some kind venting the basement. And it actually goes through the building offset like that. We've decided for structural reasons, and just really, it's kind of weird, we're just going to leave that infilled as brick and then focus on replacing the windows all around. So if you go to the next slide, yeah, there you go. So keep that blue infill there. The yellow at the base are new windows. And then the blue will become either windows or louvers. We're still working that out with mechanical. And then the pit that you see there, which we really didn't get into, but the pit we're working through, the idea is that we tried to set equipment down in the pit thinking, great, we can hide it, but of course that's in a flood zone. So we're gonna use the pit and screen it and use that for equipment in the back. Next slide. Yeah, there you go. So you can see there on the pit, you know, there's a door, or there's an opening there now that we're gonna infill and make a window. And you know, if you were to go down into the pit, you'll see that we're infilling those existing openings too, but that won't be visible, it'll be under a platform. Next slide. And then finally, the north side of the building, next slide. Yeah, there we go. The blue is the door, and then the windows in yellow. Again, we're just infilling, we're taking off all the bars that are on it currently. And if you go to the next slide, I think that might be it. Yeah, so we are gonna have to do some louvers. We're gonna try to treat them, you know, as best we can, but we do have some, because it's a meeting space, we have a lot of fresh air requirements. And that is, I think, the end of the presentation.
I have to say, it's about the clearest set of drawings of what you plan to do as we've gotten in a long time.
Oh, well, thank you.
So nice to have something that is besides arm waving, that actually has concrete details behind it. Is there anyone from the audience to speak to this project? Comments from the board? I have one. On the big arched window that was obviously the entrance that you're going to have to use as a window for various reasons. I think that the window ought to look as though the glass, what am I trying to say? It needs to look like the doors looked. The muttons need to be chunkier so that it actually looks like you've replaced the panels in the door with the glass. If you look at what they did on the Western Railway of Alabama, they actually removed the panels of the doors and put glass in those spots. But certainly plenty of places have done similar things where they built new and did that. So I think that one is the only change I'd make, is that I want those muttons to look more like the panels of the door rather than a new window with thin muttons. It looks kind of, it's unsettling to me. I don't know why.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll agree with that statement. I
Okay.
think that would be appropriate if y'all would be willing to adjust the drawings.
I don't see why that would be a problem at all.
Okay.
Yes, we will make that change.
Okay. This is such a gem of a building. It is a pleasure to see it being put to a great use.
Yeah,
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Mike, can you turn the slide 3I? 3I.
It's the front elevation, go back.
Right there.
There.
Right there. The blue section, I may have missed it when you spoke. That whole section is blue. And is there work going on in the whole section or just the windows? I may have missed it when you said it.
Well, what I was trying to point out about that is that is not the original tower. At some point, that tower was removed. So no, the plan is to replace the windows there, but that arched opening at the bottom will be the main entry into the building.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just, the whole section was blue, and I was just wondering if you were doing something to the whole face. I know on the drawing it shows the windows and the door, so I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, sorry about that. That is confusing.
Are we ready for a motion? Mr.
Madam
Fo-
Chair,
Yes?
move to approve as submitted.
Well, that's not exactly right.
Oh,
We're
I'm
going to
sorry.
change the door.
We're changing the door in your muttons, that's right, as amended by you and John. Christie's got the amendment, right? I got it. Paula's got my back. Thank you, Paula.
Second that beautiful motion.
All in favor? Opposed? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome. Thanks for coming. All right, the minutes were mailed out,
Move to approve.
and I reviewed them, and I didn't see any problems. Anybody else?
I looked at them twice. They look great.
Approved is read, and we may go home.